loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Rai and this is Rai's Reading Corner. And today I'm going to be giving you all of my favorite smutty book recommendations. Again, hello, I'm Rai and this is Rai's Reading Corner. If this is the first time you're seeing my face, if you have not yet hit the subscribe button, please do so. It's super easy and it really helps my channel grow. So as you can tell by my thumbnail and my little introduction, today I'm going to be giving you all of the recommendations for the 72 Hours in the Smut Dead Readathon. So if you did not know, myself and some of my very best and closest friends here on BookTube, Mel from Eleanor Reads, Bobby, and Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy, are hosting a 72 Hours in the Smut Dead Readathon. We all did announcement videos. I will link mine above in one of the cards, whatever side it is, and I'm not going to go over all the particulars of the readathon, but pretty much we're just encouraging people to read smutty books for 72 hours. Now, what's the fun thing about this readathon is there are two spinners. We have the dark spinner and the light spinner. So the dark spinner is more of your fantasy romance, your monster smut, dark romance, forbidden romance, and Mal has done a recommendation video recently with a bunch of recommendations for all the different prompts that are on that spinner wheel, so definitely go check out her video. And I'm going to do some recommendations for the lighter reel. So these are more of your contemporary romances with some smut added into it on the lighter side compared to some of our dark romances. So some of these books are books that I've personally read, and books that are on my radar are books that I want to read, or just books that I've heard a lot of great things about that I'm hoping to get to very, very soon. So our first one is Forced Proximity. And for this one, I kind of had trouble thinking of a book that had smut in it that is forced proximity. So for me, I thought of like Flatshare, which does not have smut in it. Shipped by Angie Hawken, which is one of my favorite romances. It has very, very little smut in it. But I did get a recommendation from Michelle from Michelle's Library that The Roommate by Rosie Dana, I believe, is a close proximity story that has lots and lots of smut in it. I've been seeing these books quite a bit, so something that I'm interested in, but it has that close proximity feeling, she said. So that is the recommendation I'm going to give you for this one, and I trust Michelle's judgment. So, but if you have other ones, let me know down in the comments below. Okay, so the next one is a Grumpy Sunshine character. So hear me out on this one. This is a Christmas recommendation in May, but this book is so good and it embodies that epitome of a Grumpy Sunshine, and it's not a long read, and it is The Geek Who Saved Christmas by Annabeth Albert. So we have our main character who is super into Christmas, super cheerful, wants to decorate the whole entire town, and then we have our other main character who's kind of a Scrooge in some ways. It doesn't decorate for Christmas, however his younger brother, he's expecting the house to look like as he did when he was a child, full of colorful lights, and so he enlists our very sunshiny type gentleman to help him decorate his house and get him into the Christmas spirit. And there is a budding romance between the two of them, and it was adorable, but the smut was really, really good in this book, and I super enjoyed it. It is an indie book, and I always love promoting and reading indie published books. I loved it so much that I had to buy it, so hear me out. I still suggest this book even though it is in the Christmas time. A book that is on the top of my radar that is very smutty and is that Grumpy to Sunshine trope that I would recommend even though I have not read it, but is one that's on my radar, and this is Written in Your Stars by Alexandria Belflor. This is a sapphic romance, which we all know I love a good sapphic romance. And we have our two main characters, Darcy and Elle, and apparently one of them is grumpy, and we have a sunshine character, and it's very smutty, Michelle told me. So I would recommend this book again. Even though I have not read it, it's one that I would like to read, and definitely consists of that trope. Alright, so the next trope or prompt that you could get is a second chance romance. One book that has not tons of smut, but there is some smut, so if you're looking for something that's not super over the top, and that's The Bromance Book Club by Lyssa Kay Adams. I just recently read this one and really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. We have a couple that has been married for quite some time. They have several children. Our main guy is in the baseball, so this will also count for a sports romance, which will be a prompt that you'll hear on later on. And our marriage is struggling. So they are separated, but they're trying to get their marriage back together through the advice of this guy's book club that is reading a historical romance. So it's really funny, and there is slight smut in here, so if you're looking for nothing that's too over the top, but this would work definitely for a second chance romance because they are trying to save their marriage, as well as it would work for a sports romance because our male character in here is a baseball player, and honestly I loved him so much in this book. He is my favorite character, and the gentleman banter in this book is really good, so I would definitely recommend this one. The next book is another romance. I have not read this one, so this is one I would really like to read. Actually, Michelle and Lachlan finished this book in sprints the other night. They said it was so good. It's Love in Other Words Words by Christina Lauren. It just came out with a new cover, and they did say this is a second chance romance. Lachlan cried reading this one. Michelle told me it is a heavier content book, so definitely know that going in ahead of time, but it also will comp for a couple other prompts, so I will let you know about that one. But everyone that I've talked to absolutely loves this book, so maybe I will spin that wheel and hopefully get one of these prompts that would fit for that one, because I really want to read it. All right, so the next one is Fake Dating, and I definitely have some more recommendations for this one. So our first recommendation, again, you'll see this one multiple times throughout this video, is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. So we have our main character, Hannah, who is really into school. We have our hockey player who's a little bit struggling in a class, and if he doesn't pass a certain class, then he's going to jeopardize his hockey stuff. And hockey stuff, that's literally so lame. I don't even know why I said it like that, but whatever. So he enlists her to help him become better in this class and learn the material, and on the end for her, he's going to date her so that he can get the attention of this other guy that she likes and kind of put her name out there. Well, it's fake dating, and you know how all that happens. You know, I'm not going to go into the plot line, but it is really good. I really enjoyed this story. I believe all the other ones are sports themed as well, so that would work here. This one is specifically fake dating, so I would recommend this one for that prompt. The next one is The Love Hypothesis by Haley Hazelwood, and this is a professor and a student in like med or PhD, I believe. So this is fake dating obviously as well. So they are kind of put into this weird situation where she ends up kissing him, and then she plays it off that like that's her boyfriend. So they go through this relationship, really awkward to be honest, and a lot of times, and they don't really know each other. So over the course of the time, they get to know each other, and you know, things happen after that. So I really like this book. Our main character is STEM, which is always a really positive. I love seeing female characters in STEM, and really popular. So probably a lot of people have already read this one, but if you have not, it's a quick read if you're looking for a fake dating prompt for the light wheel. So the next one is Take a Hint, Dani Brown, second book in the Brown Sisters trilogy by Talia Hibbert. I thought I took the book down, and now I don't know where I put it. Big shocker there. So this is a story about Dani, who is a professor, and she is queer as well, and she is supposed to be not riding the elevator down on a fire drill. She never read her email though, and she gets stuck in the elevator because it's a fire drill and the elevator stopped working. And then we have our amazing gentleman in here, saves her from and gets her out of the elevator, and everyone thinks they are dating, and so they start this fake dating relationship to kind of benefit them in their own way, because he's a rugby player or a former rugby player who then works with children, and people started donating to his like rugby club, and so they kind of have this mutual benefit here. And yes, Zaf is his name. Zaf, I believe, is his name. And the banter in this is so good, and Dani Brown is my favorite character out of all of the Brown Sisters trilogy, and the smut was on point with this one. And you do not have to read them in order. You can, but you do not have to. So if you have not read Chloe Brown and you want a book for this prompt, you could jump to Dani Brown and it would count for this one. Two books that I am interested in that do have fake dating. One is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, which is right here, actually is on my TBR. This is a fake dating about a girl who has autism and wants to get to be more comfortable in dating and kissing. So she hires like a male escort, I believe, and they end up dating and fake dating so people like leave her alone, I believe, and a romance buds out of that one. And also Written in Your Stars, the one I showed earlier right here, is fake dating as well, so you could use that one for that one. Okay, so the next one, I had a lot of trouble coming up with a contemporary with romance type one, and this was a Bodyguard. So if you have any recommendations, let me know down below. So this is a really big stretch, but I'm gonna say Dani Brown because Zaf is a security guard and he's supposed to be protecting the building that Dani's in, so it's kind of like a bodyguard romance. I know that's a stretch, but we're gonna go with it. So if you use this, if you come to this prompt and you want to use Dani Brown, it's gonna count. We're gonna go with it. I got permission from Mel and Cassidy for it, but if you have any other bodyguard ones that are more not the dark smutty, like that's what I think of, that's more like fan row, let me know down in the comments below because I struggled with that one for a recommendation for you all. The next one is Age Gap, and so these are two recommendations that I would like to give that have come from very special people in my life, Mel and Michelle, that are age gap romances that are non-dark romance. I feel like Age Gap is kind of crosses lines between being taboo, but the ones I would like to do is Tessa Bailey's Tools of Engagement, and Tessa Bailey's super smutty in general, so I mean that's all clear right there. And also The Idea of You by Robin Lee. This is a book Michelle just recently read earlier in the year, and she said it's gonna be one of her best books of all time, so end of the year. So I'm really excited about both of those. Both smutty books, both age gaps, so I mean I trust the two of them to give you those recommendations. So those are 2 recommendations I have for that one. The next one is Friends to Lovers. So I would like to recommend Dirty Letters by V. Keeland and Penelope Award. This book I loved so much that I listened to it as audio, which is a very, very good audiobook, and I ended up having to buy it physically. So we have Griffin and Luca. And Luca, she and Griffin were pen pals growing up. Griffin lived in, was it the UK, I believe? And they wrote letters all the way up to like they were teenagers. And then something happened in Luca's life that she kind of became very depressed. She had developed OCD. So lots of mental health rep in here, and I thought it was done very, very well. And so she's kind of stopped living for quite some time and stopped writing letters to Griffin. So then something happens and they kind of reconnect again and are learning now each other as adults, because they kind of did have feelings when they were around 15, 16 years old, growing up in like young adult age. But now that they're adults living their own separate lives, they're trying to learn each other, who they are. And it's a lot of letter writing back and forth, which I really, really liked. And this was just so cute. And the smut was really, really good on it. And like I said, it is very good audiobook. So if you're looking for an audiobook for the readathon, I would recommend this one. And it's just top notch. Another one I would like to recommend that I personally have not read and you've already heard is Love and Other Reasons by Christina Lauren. This is a Friends to Lovers trope romance as well. Also, recommendation from Michelle, A Brush with Love is also Friends to Lovers, and I've heard such great things about this one. People compare this to The Love Hypothesis. So it's like a dental hygiene school romance friends. I mean, I can't wait to read this one, and she said it is smutty as well. Also, Him by Elle Kennedy. This could also count as a sports romance. It is queer as well, and according to Goodreads, it is also Friends to Lovers, and this is a duology, I believe. All right, the next one is my sports romance category, and this is kind of books that I've already have talked about. So the first one is Him by Elle Kennedy. Also, we have The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is a hockey romance. Also, The Bromance Book Club. This is baseball. So all of those would work. A lot of Mariana Zapata's books would count for this one as well. They're just super chunky, very, very slow burn, but there is smut in them eventually. But for a readathon, they are kind of big, but if you are a fast reader and you only want to spin the spinner one time, those books would work as well. There's soccer and there's football, and I don't know if there's other sports, but those are 2 that I definitely know. And ice skating counts as sport too. Okay, so the next one is Small Town, and I really, really love small town romance stories. So the first one I'm going to recommend is one of my favorite books of the year, and this is Delia Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a sapphic romance story. We have our main character, Delia Green, who growing up never had it necessarily easy. She had her stepsister who really made it kind of difficult for her growing up. And as soon as she graduated high school, she went out of there. She went to New York City and flourished as a photographer. But her stepsister is getting married and has hired her to come back to their small hometown to photograph her wedding. And there is a romance that kind of these feelings that Delia kind of develops for one of her stepsister's friends, Claire. And it is the romance that's kind of this budding romance between the 2 of them, as well as kind of dealing with some of the things that happened as her childhood and the relationship between her and her stepsister. And it was such a great book, and I feel like I'm not explaining this very well. I honestly have not heard of anyone not liking this book. This smut is really, really good as well. It's like starts off right off the bat with smut, so you cannot sit down, because Delia is kind of like, she gets all the girls and every girl love her, and she just is so smooth, and everyone needs a Delia Green in their life. The next ones are another one's by Tessa Bailey, and it's It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line, and Sinker. So this is a small fishing town. The first one is my favorite. This one was not as much, but I know a lot of people that did love this story. But in the first one, we have Piper. I think her name's Piper. Piper has to go to this small town. Her stepfather and mother are sending her there to kind of work out some debt. She's like this socialite that maybe gotten into some trouble, and she's going back to the small town where her dad lived and passed away to fix up this old bar that he owed and to like prove herself. So she's trying to get adjusted to small town life in this sea town with these fishermen, and she struggles quite a bit, but there is a romance between her and a fisherman that I really, really adored. And then this story follows her sister as well as one of the friends from the first book, Fox. So these are quicker reads, I would say. They're not taking too long. You can really dive into them, and the audio for It Happened One Summer was really good, and I really, really enjoyed that one. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any recommendations for any of these prompts. Like I said, there are some prompts that are definitely more than others. You can tell what kind of prompts I gravitate towards, because let's be honest, when it comes to romance books, we all find our own little trope that we really like, and we kind of dive into that section. But there are so many books that I want to read that I don't know which spinner I'm going to be participating in. Again, all the information for the announcement video is going to be uplinked below, and with the time that I'm putting out this video and this week, it is going to be from Thursday starting at 9 o'clock. We will have a live reading sprints, and it goes for 72 hours. So So let me know down in the comments below again if you have any recommendations for any of these prompts. I'm sure I missed a ton. It was so hard trying to remember which books had good MA in it. Like, not as hard, as easy as I thought it was going to be. Let me know too if you're going to be participating in the readathon. I hope you are. It's going to be so much fun. We have so many sprints over the 72 hours, and I'm just ready to read all of the smuts. So if you want to take this crazy and chaotic journey with me, please make sure you press the subscribe button. If you're my friend on any of my other social media platforms, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All the information is linked down below. Stay kind, loves, and I'll see you next time. Bye.